My name is Rich Hanlon. I'm your Wild Neighbors Nature Connection Nature Guide. Welcome back to the ADK Bird Buffet. Let's do some relational birding together, noticing the connection between songbirds and winter feeding stations. We'll give our attention to noticing the different food preferences and foraging techniques of the different species of birds that we see visiting the feeder, as well as how these birds are interacting with each other. I also want to take a moment to thank our neighbors Dave and Nancy for making us this beautiful wooden bird feeder. The only ones who appreciate it more than us, as you'll see in a moment, are the birds themselves. 3 food items that we have on the menu today for the birds include peanuts, black oil sunflower seeds, and dried mealworms. While it may be more about the taste and the texture for the birds, peanuts have the highest fat content, mealworms have the highest protein content, and the black oil sunflower seeds are a balance between fat, protein, and fiber. Imagine yourself gathered around a table with family and friends. The chickadee is the one who is always first at the dinner table, but also is the one who can never seem to stay put for any length of time. Black-capped chickadee's foraging strategy involves picking an item of food and flying away from the bird feeder with it, either to hide it somewhere in the forest or to pick it apart while perched on a nearby branch. You see what kind of food that chickadee picked? Let's see it again in slow motion. Chickadees move so fast. Let's take a look at that in slow motion to see everything that just happened. Here it picks up a mealworm in its beak, hops to the edge of the bird feeder, releases the mealworm, turns around, picks up a black oil sunflower seed, and flies off with it. Looks like peanut is the food of choice here. As we'll see next, our purple finch and goldfinch neighbors have also arrived for dinner. Now our purple finches and goldfinches are kind of more like those friends or family members who prefer the more traditional route of eating our food while we are sitting at the table. Black oil sunflower seeds are the clear food of choice for the goldfinch and the purple finches. Sometimes black-capped chickadees get a little upset about the finch's sedentary feeding habits. Watch this hungry chickadee do a close flyby near this female purple finch. Next, we'll see some intra-species displacement at the feeding station. One male purple finch arrives, is displaced by a second male purple finch, who is then displaced by a female purple finch. Red-breasted nuthatches, who are often found in proximity to black-capped chickadees, adopt a foraging strategy at the feeding station that is very much like that of the black-capped chickadee. For the nuthatch, looks like sunflower seeds are the favorite. Blue jays are the next bird neighbors to show up at the dinner table. If you've ever known anybody to play the game, let's see how much food I can fit in my mouth at once. That's the blue jay for you. Blue jay's foraging strategy typically involves filling its throat pouch with as many food items as it can carry, and flying off into the forest with that food to store it somewhere where it will be retrieved to eat later. Peanuts seem to be the food of choice here. While peanuts are some of their favorites, this blue jay has just plucked a mealworm. Let's count the number of peanuts this blue jay carries in its throat pouch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 in the beak. Blue jays are often okay with feeding alongside other blue jays at feeding stations, but that's not always the case. Watch as this blue jay perched on the feeder practices a display of aggression via a wing flick towards another approaching jay that says, "Stay away." Sometimes we all need a little space. Here in the northern reaches of New York's Adirondack Park, the birds are not the only ones that like to visit winter feeding stations. Red squirrels tend to employ two different foraging strategies. One is to eat the food at the feeder, like it's doing with this black oil sunflower seed right now. Another foraging strategy of the red squirrel is to fill its cheek pouches with food items, and carry it off into the forest, and bury it in the ground to return to it later. But the red squirrel does not end up retrieving all that it has stored for later. And this is how sunflowers and pine trees and spruce trees and fir trees end up getting planted by the red squirrel, which benefit generations of songbirds to come. Like our songbird neighbors, we may have different preferences, and each of us may do things a little differently. But there's room at the table for everyone. Thanks for watching.